Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Jay Widdifs. I'm back? Question mark. Um, hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, hey, how y'all doing?
I'm gonna insert that like one clip of that. Um, so it's been 3 months. My bad, y'all. Did not mean to take that long of a break. So I hope y'all are doing well. Um, don't worry, guys. I promise I have not forgot about y'all. I'm just trying to see what I can do better. Obviously, consistency is a is a huge thing I need. Um, so uh, yeah, I guess without further ado, let's roll the intro.
Yeah, bitch so bad I wanna shoot like hoops. I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends, they don't know what's best for you. Yeah, I want you, yeah, bad I wanna shoot like hoops. I'm riding in the coupe. I got what you want, it ain't nothing but a loop. Don't listen to friends, they don't know what's best for you. Yeah, I want you.
Anyways, so I I guess with all seriousness, I know there was a lot of jokes in the intro. I am sorry for taking a 3 month long break. Hey, it's better than going from February to November. So, um, anyways, let's get started with what if Deku was Kurama's son? Except because I want to make it up to y'all, I'm going to do part 3 and 4 in this one part. So I hope y'all enjoy, and I will see you guys in the video. Story off. Well, we resume our story with Deku waking up in a hospital bed. He says, "Where am I?" And the people crowding around. He looks around and he sees people crowding around him. The likes of Melissa, Kurama, and Inko. So they all say, "You're awake!" They say it in unison. They run on him, they hug him. And he's like, "Oh, hey guys, y'all are like putting a lot of strain on me." And he knows that he broke a rib or he did something, and he's like, "Ow." They all let go and they say sorry and da 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 da. But then they all talk, and finally, when they're about to leave, Deku asks Kurama, he's like, "Hey, can you stay? I want to ask you about something." "Hey Dad, I had this really weird thing that happened." He then explains how the cloak that he had, this visibly shocks Kurama. He says, "I knew you had my chakra, but you can use the cloaks? Wait, does that mean..." "No, surely not." "Well, if he had a cloak, it's not impossible." "Dad, is there something wrong?" Deku asks, worryingly. "No, son, just focus on getting better. We'll talk about it tomorrow." Deku then continues to watch his dad walk out of the room, and he feels that he still has a large chakra supply left. He uses his own chakra healing to begin healing the broken ribs and the many other problems that he had. He then takes the next day to recover chakra and energy, getting a full discharge 2 weeks earlier than everyone thought. Deku then goes out with Melissa, finding out that UA closed for 2 weeks for everyone, but a month for everyone in UA. He has an extra 2 weeks to study or train. He decides to talk to his dad about this ability. Kurama then goes to the same forest that we began with, and he says, "Do you remember this place?" And Deku says, "Yeah, of course I do. How could I not remember this?" "Well, you're doing it again this time, but for an entire week. You're also not going to have as much as my help." "Wait, you helped it?" And Kurama, without explaining anything more, he tosses him a scroll. That scroll is to teach you how to access nature energy beyond your wildest dreams. And Deku goes, "Nature energy?" And he's like, "Don't worry, just read the scroll and do it. But first, bite your thumb, wipe your blood on the scroll, then follow the hand seals, and then use that same hand with the blood and slam it on the ground." He does exactly that, and he actually summons a small talking fox. When he looks up, his dad is gone. So I take it you're supposed to be teaching me something?" "Oh, not me. Pour more chakra into your summoning." He does just that, and and a fox about 15 feet in size appears. And he says, "So you must be Kurama's son. Well, you've got a lot to learn, little pup." Then, for the next week, Deku meditates, he trains, and he learns how to master the Fox Sage Mode. He learns how to use his clones to help him learning and mastering it a whole day faster than Naruto did it in canon. And I'm pretty sure, didn't he do it in 3 days? Or like, didn't he do it in a week or something? I'm not sure. But then, he meets up with his dad again, and this actually, because of the fact that he finished faster than Kurama thought he would, Kurama actually explains to him the Kyuubi state that he was in and what exactly it was. Kurama then asks him to activate the Sage Mode, and he does just that, causing a green eyeshadow to form on his above his eyes, as well as giving him fox-like eyes. His Sage Mode dramatically amplifies his physical abilities, including strength, speed, stamina, durability, reflexes, but it also enhances his new ninjutsu, his Genjutsu and Taijutsu, while also giving him the ability to sense chakra from a very far distance now and harness nature energy to make his attacks more powerful and to extend their range. This mode allows for a heightened perception and the creation of specialized techniques. Then for the second week, Deku used 3 clones to continuously meditate, building that nature energy, while also working to control his Kyuubi state, only being able to control up to the second tail. The episode ends when Aizawa actually walks into the classroom. Everybody then returns to school, and everybody in class is hyping him up for being the one who took down the big bad. Aizawa then yells, "Be quiet!" He then explains how they will be hosting the sports festival next week, and everybody chimes in, "Wait, but we just got attacked by villains. Isn't this giving them like a perfect..." And he's like, "Didn't I tell you all to be quiet? We're doing this as a form to raise everybody's spirits, as well to show the world that we're not afraid of a few scrawny villains." He then explains how they need to become prepared. When everybody goes to leave, all of Class 1B, the business course, and the support course, and everybody is. Deku, honestly, he literally just walks up the wall to the tallest point of the doorframe, walks along the wall, and then lands on the floor, and then him and Melissa walk away. The same scene with Bakugo happens as it does in canon. The next week goes by, and Deku is just stockpiling nature energy. As well, he's going out with Melissa and helping her with the gadgets that she's making. Then, on the day of the sports festival, Midnight gives a speech, then calls Deku up to the podium. Deku walks up, tapping the mic. "I just want to say, good luck everyone. I wish for everyone's safety and I hope you all do your best. However," he grabs the mic off the stand and he jumps up in the sky. "I'm still gonna win and beat you all. So you better give it up your all Wow, I cannot speak. He grabs the mic and he jumps in the air and he's doing like a small spin in the air, and he's like, "However, I'm still gonna win and beat you all. So you better give it your best to prove me wrong. Let's all go plus ultra." And then he lands back down on the stage and puts the mic back and then walks back to the crowd. Midnight goes back up and she says, "What emotion and drive from the student who scored number 1 on our entrance exam. However, what good would it do to only glaze this man? Let's begin the first event and show what these amazing students are capable of." She announces the first event that it'll be a relay race. Deku stands at the back with a grin on his face. Once the race begins to start, he actually body flickers to the front above everyone else, even ahead of Todoroki so he doesn't get stuck on the ice. Then he runs a few steps, mapping out the entire raceway and knowing it. Then he body flickers to the end, standing right before the end, seemingly waiting. After he sees Bakugo, Todoroki, and Melissa, all 3 neck and neck at the minefield, he walks through the finish line with a yawn, looking up at the fans with a wink. Then it goes Bakugo, then Todoroki, and then Melissa. He winks at the 3, all having different reactions. Bakugo getting angry, Todoroki seemingly just not caring, and Melissa blushes. Then everybody else in canon, does in canon. Then we ensue the cavalry battle. The cavalry battle is, for Deku's team, is Deku, Melissa, Mei Hatsume, and Tokoyami. Deku just forms an earth barrier around them with the 1,000,000-point headband and kind of just waits it out because he doesn't see a point in fighting everyone. All right, guys, are you excited for this sports festival? Because I know that I personally am. Now, do I want to do that? I feel like it'd be really cool. How do I want to do this? 1 second. I like how I paused the recording. Yeah, I just needed to look further down in my notes. Dang, that's crazy. So the fight actually starts with Shinso asking how it felt to be born with such a powerful and flashy quirk, and he's just yapping away, and Deku's kind of just yawning and walking towards him. But eventually, he's like, "How'd you even get that broad around your shoulder?" It must have been pretty easy. I mean, she might be pretty easy if she went even after you. And Deku immediately gets angry, immediately saying, "What did you just say?" And as he says that, with a snap, Deku is now under the mind control. Deku, still fuming in this mind control state. He couldn't keep his emotions in check, and he actually loses control, and his four-tailed state comes out. This causes Deku to launch himself out of his mind control state with a huge wind gust. He then launches himself at Shinso, pummeling him into a combo. Like, I'm talking what Naoya did to Choso and Maki. Like, he's aura farming like crazy. But then, I'm like reading my notes. But then he launches him out of the arena, completely bloody and battered, launching him to the wall. He then rushes him and hits him again and hits him again, hits him again. Cementos creates an extremely thick wall, but Deku breaks it down as if it was nothing. Then with a thunderous voice from the cloud, "Izuku, calm down!" Deku then looks up and sees his dad sitting with his mom. Like, if y'all know that Hunter x Hunter scene where it's the Heaven's Arena arc, where the teacher, I forgot his name, yells at the kid. I'm gonna butcher this name. But the little like karate kid, y'all know what I'm talking about. But it's like that scene. He then sees a picture of Melissa on the board, and he calms himself down. The tails, one by one, receding. He walks over to Shinso and sees. And he immediately begins healing him with his chakra, wasting his own energy source so that way he can heal the person that he just abused. Like, I'm talking broke this man. Like, honestly. Deku then, after he heals Shinso, he actually takes him to Recovery Girl, where then he goes back to the locker room where everybody is just terrified of this man. Then we get into Melissa versus Denki. The fight actually starts with Denki immediately letting out his max burst while saying, "I don't want to fight a girl, so I'm going to end this fast." After the smoke clears, you see Melissa just standing there with an electricity-proof riot shield that she expanded from her pocket. She collapses this shield and sees a dumbfounded, confused Denki, and she walks up to him and guides him out of the arena. And she says, "Do you really think I wouldn't take every measure out of all of our classmates? You have potential to have one of the most powerful quirks in the entire class. Why would I especially take you lightly?" Then we get into Deku versus Todoroki. The fight starts with a huge ice geyser. Todoroki clearly trying to end this early. Deku, expecting this, weaves the hand seals. Monkey, bird, dog, ram, saying fire released, flame, whirlwind. This encases his body in flames, melting the ice immediately. Then, while walking through the ice, he begins walking towards Todoroki, just aura farming. And he says, "You're not going to win with half your quirk, and you know that, don't you, Todoroki?" He walks through the ice entirely. He then makes a hand sign. Behind his back, he makes a hand sign of bird with one hand. He then whispers, "Wind release, air bullets." You know, I don't know why you care so much about that. I mean, it's your quirk, not his. That's why you have ice as well. It's all your quirk. Hearing this, Todoroki is just stunned. He's like, "Wait, it's my quirk. It's not his quirk." Like, and he's just going through it, and Deku's just like, and Todoroki, like, unintentionally activating his fire side, his ice. So then the ice holding him in place, like keeping him from falling out of the arena, falls. Then air bullets that Deku had cast earlier hit Todoroki in the gut, in the face, and in the leg, sweeping him out of the arena. Deku then walks up to him and heals him again. And he's like, just so you know, Todoroki, I didn't just say that. It really is your quirk. I don't get why you're so distraught about it. I mean, maybe he was a crappy father, but, you know, at the end of the day, we all have our own quirks. They're not our fathers or our mothers or whoever's. But hey, you do whatever you want with your quirk. Then Deku then walks away. And then it's announced Melissa versus Ida, but there is no match. Ida left. Then we get to Deku versus Melissa. In the locker room before the match, they're sitting next to each other. And Deku says, so how hard do you want me to go? They both begin looking at her, and she looks at him, and they both start bursting out laughing at that, like, at the sus question that Deku asked. And, then Melissa's like, oh, I'm going all out. And they both start laughing again. And he stands up and he leans down and kisses her and he's like, hey, you ready? And she's like, yeah. Duh. When have I ever not? And they both start laughing still. And they both walk to their separate arenas. And as they're walking up to the stage, they both just start, like, trying not to laugh. Like the Speed face, the Speed, I need this. So they both sit on it. They both get in the arena. And he says, hey, you ready? And they both still are just trying not to laugh. And she's like, I've been born ready. And they both just, like, aren't able to keep a straight face. They walk towards each other, aura farming. The laughs just completely stored up. Like, they're barely able to keep it in. Deku throws a punch, but it's extremely weak. And he, like, misses her and stumbles forward. Her doing the exact same. The scene is reminiscent of, like, when Ruby and Sapphire from Steven Universe fought. She falls over, taking him with her, and they both start laughing. The entire crowd is confused as he starts tickling her. He then stands up and pronouncing that he won with laughter. Just then, Melissa jumps on his back, taking him down to the ground. She then sits up on his, like, chest and kisses him in front of everyone, standing up and is like, alright, I forfeit. I got what I came for. She then walks off the stage, like, skips off the stage with Deku, and they both laugh hysterically. And by the way, I'm only covering Deku's fights and Melissa's fight. So, now we're going to get into the little subsection that I like to call asking for you guys to like and subscribe and comment what y'all like and don't like about this video. Like, I need to know, give me motivation to keep uploading so that way we don't have another February to November stretch. It's kind of scaring me. It's like right on my heels. I might have to do it again. Just kidding. I already missed it. Because February's gone, guys. We're in March now. Oh, and little secret for y'all. I have a Easter special coming up. So, if y'all sat into this video for long enough, go into the comments and type Easter. You know, shock everybody else. Just type down Easter's the best. You know? And if I get enough of y'all, I'll actually do it. I won't tell y'all what quirk, but let's just say, how do I want to hit this? Don't worry, I'm not going a rapid quirk. However, let's just say people might be getting some mystery prizes, like from the Easter Bunny. That's all I'll say. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Now, without further ado, let's get into Deku versus Bakugo. Deku, after his fight with Melissa, walks back into the guys' locker room, seeing Bakugo just sitting there. They both say nothing and they sit down, locking in. Finally, both of their names are announced. Bakugo pops small explosions in his hands from excitement, like almost unintentionally. Deku looks up at the camera with his dark green eyeshadow and fox-like eyes, Kurama knowing he's going almost all out. And if it's not all out, it's pretty close to it. They both walk out into the arena and the announcer starts and says, 1, 2, 3, fight! They both launch at each other, Deku dodging explosions left and right, Bakugo exploding up in the air, preparing a huge final blow to try and end the fight fast, Deku expecting the guy's tired dog. and he weaves the hand signs tiger and dog, saying wind release, vacuum, great sphere. He then inhales the entire explosion, making it snuff out like in a vacuum almost. And he says, "You want to see some real explosive power?" And then he weaves tiger and ram, saying exploding flame shot, pumping as much chakra into in these orbs as he can. Then at the right height, they explode. This causes Bakugo to go flying. Midair, he regains his composure and explodes back into the ring. "Run the hands, no special powers." Deku's like, "I bet that." And then he Bakugo runs, and Deku gets into a Krav Maga capoeira stance, and he begins putting this man in an absolute mincer. I'm talking he's doing what Itadori and Nanami did to Mahito. He's acting as if he's getting jumped. Then he sends his man Bakugo flying. Bakugo tries popping an explosion, and he's like, if you want to do that, then I'm doing this. Then he weaves snake, ram, monkey, boar, bird, tiger, saying fire release, foxfire. Then 10 balls of flames appear in front of Deku, who he then launches them at Bakugo, surrounding him. He explodes 4 of them, getting hit. Bakugo managed to explode 4 of them, getting hit from 6 of his different blind spots. Then Deku walks towards the brutalized Bakugo, Deku not even having a single scratch on him. But just then, when Deku gets close enough, Bakugo makes an explosion so big that it sends Deku flying to the other side of the arena. They both stand up, and Deku's like, "Ow, that kind of hurts." And right on the spot where I broke my rib. Ah. And Bakugo's like, "You're so weak. You can barely stand after one explosion." And meanwhile, they're both struggling to even stand. And Deku's just like, "Dude, I've been putting you in a mincer this entire time. Ow." And Bakugo, he looks down his palm, realizing he's built up enough sweat to end this in one blow. Deku and him run at each other, Deku forming a skill that he saw in the back one of the scrolls. He spirals chakra in his hand, forming a Rasengan. The pro heroes realize that if these final blows connect, it'll be devastating. All Might is diverting Deku's Rasengan into the cement. Ectoplasm uses 5 of his clones, forcing Bakugo's explosion into the concrete. They both look at the damage they nearly caused. Deku left just a small little 6 to 12 inch crater that went only about 3 inches deep, whereas Bakugo left a 36 to 48 inch crater that was 9 inches deep. They both begin to get told off for trying to use such force in a friendly battle. Bakugo scoffs, realizing that he was more powerful, or at least thinking so. He walks out of the arena, basically giving up and forfeiting. He looks back, he looks at the wall, and he sees that the entire wall was cut in half, basically from the back. It was almost entirely destroyed from the behind. It's the scene Sasuke and Naruto had whenever they first fought, and Sasuke basically destroyed the entire front of it, and Naruto destroyed the entire thing. So then Bakugo is just terrified now, and the entire crowd begins going absolutely crazy, but both Bakugo and Deku tied first, Melissa in second, and Tokoyami and Todoroki in third place. The next day, everyone is in class when Midnight walks in, and she says that they need to make hero names for their hero internships. Deku says, "You know what? I think I got a perfect one. I'm going to be the shinobi hero, Kurama." And then everybody picks their canon names. Deku would see that actually Endeavor had sent him a request, so he took it. Then time skip to the internship. He and Todoroki walk in together, and they take the first few days gauging the fire power potency they had. That's what Endeavor had them doing. Then Endeavor took them on a patrol in Hosu City. We would then run into the Nomu incident. Deku would immediately sense the feelings of suffering, and from a nearby alley, he would tell Todoroki and body flicker away. He body flickers exactly in the way, just in time before Ida gets slashed, pulling Ida away and kicking Stain. "Ida, what the hell? Why are you going after him alone?" And he sets him down with Native, and he looks up at Stain and says, "You know what? I'm gonna deal with you later." He then weaves a hand sign just a rat and says, "Earth release, bedrock, coffin." He traps Stain in an earth barrier. Deku, immediately realizing immediately begins healing Native and Ida enough to stabilize him at least. Then he body flickers him to a hospital, coming back and opens the coffin. And he's like, "What's your plan now, hero killer? Your only leverage is gone," he says with a smirk as he looks up, his eyes having dark green eyeshadow again. "Oh, I see you like this fight with blades." He presses a button extending his blade. "I do too." They begin both clashing and Deku weaving, Deku actually says, "Wind release, vacuum blade." He then coats his blade in a vacuum-like air, giving him just enough edge of speed over Stain. Deku then signs with one hand, boar, ram, tiger, saying, "Wind release, spiraling wind ball." A ball of spiraling wind then appears in his hands, and he jams it straight into Stain's diaphragm, almost like a Rasengan but without the same power. He then ties him up with some rope and body flickers to a police station with him. Then he body flickers back to help with the Nomus. After the Hosu attack, there were significantly, and I mean like significantly, fewer casualties, and the hero killer Stain was captured by an unknown vigilante. Or so, that's what the news said. After the internships, everyone returns to school, Ida and Todoroki now having a newfound respect for Deku. The episode then proceeds to end with Aizawa having an important announcement. The next day, once in class, Aizawa talks about the final exam and how it's coming up in the next week. He tells them not just to train their minds, but also their physical abilities. The rest of the class is spent with Aizawa teaching them for their final exam. After school, Deku and Melissa are just chilling in his room, studying and talking. This is the routine for the next week. Go to school, come home, study, eat dinner, cuddle, and sleep. Then the final exams roll around. Izuku and Melissa and Momo all tied for scoring the highest in the entire school. Then we get to the practical portion. Everyone passes as in canon, but then we get to the important battle. Deku and Bakugo versus All Might himself. The fight starts off with All Might sending a massive blow towards the two. This destroys buildings leading to the duo. Deku grabs Bakugo and body flickers to a extremely far part of the city, and he says, "Look, I know you don't like me. Quite frankly, I don't like you either. So let's put that aside for the 2-3 minutes that we have to defeat this man so we can work together and win this." And Bakugo says, "Yeah, fine, but you better not say that it'd be best to run, because I'm running the fade. I never duck a fade." And Izuku says, "Nah, man, you think I'm a duck a fade? Man, I've been waiting for this." Bakugo is shaken by this, yet he's like, "Okay, my boy." And they dap each other up and he's like, "All right, bet. So here's the plan." And he explains the plan, and then Deku body flickers just about 50 yards in front of All Might. Bakugo launches at All Might, but then goes extremely high in the sky. All Might, losing focus on Deku, weaves a hand seal of snake, then says Earth Release or Earth Corridor. After saying this, a huge dome of earth appears around All Might, with a hole at the top. He sees Bakugo spinning rapidly, just circle and circle, and he's yelling, "Howitzer Impact!" But then, right before All Might can do anything, Deku forms the hand seals bird, dragon, ram, and says Earth Release, Earth and Stone Bamboo Shoot! This causes 4 spikes to come up from the ground that holds All Might in place, and it holds All Might in place, because if he moves at all, he will be stabbed by these bamboo shoots. Then another hole forms. Deku signs ram, and it says Wind Release, Pressure Damage. The entire dome gets filled with spiraling air, almost like a tornado. Then Deku signs Rat, Dragon, Boar, saying Fire Release, Fire Pari Technique. The entire area of the city is raising temperature by 10 degrees. And Deku says, "You better give up, All Might, or you might just get turned to ash." Then, as Deku says that, Bakugo comes flying in, and he says, "Howitzer Impact tenfold!" Bakugo yells, flying towards the hole at the top of the dome that All Might was in. Bakugo, right at the entrance, makes an explosion so big that if it were any other person than All Might, it would have them completely fried. Maybe even destroyed an entire city if Bakugo placed it right. But because Deku had the dome, it completely encased the blast. This minimized complete damage to absolutely none, compressing the blast to do even more damage. After the blow, the dome then disperses into the ground, and Deku creates an air palm serving 2 purposes. It puts out the fire and gives Bakugo a safe place to land. The smoke clears and you see All Might, who had been completely knocked out, yet there were minimal burns. When Deku had released the spiraling wind, he condensed it around All Might as to make it to where he wouldn't die from the blow, and it would have enough casing to do enough damage, but not enough to kill him or even incapacitate him. However, all of the pro heroes saw that not only did Deku have enough potent attack power, but he also had the ability to be a support hero and help his teammate. But he also was smart enough to make a decision in the nick of time. Bakugo, when landing, notices how powerful his explosion was, asking Deku how he did that. Oh, he was like, "Oh, I made a dome. I made that dome, then held All Might in place, and I made a wind tunnel, turning your explosion into tons of larger explosions. Then I heated the entire area to make you sweat more, so you generated even more power. Then I used the dome to condense the blast so you didn't hurt any of the area or the quote-unquote civilians. I also compressed the wind tunnel around All Might so he didn't get too badly injured." Well, I mean, that was kind of easy, though. He then walks over to All Might, healing him, and he says, "You know, that's kind of the benefit of knowing the person you're fighting alongside of, especially how their power works." He says that while standing up, patting Bakugo on the back and walking away to the observatory. Bakugo is just standing there in complete shock. Everyone stares at Deku in complete awe, everyone knowing that he's the strongest, and how Bakugo is just right behind him. Then, classes are dismissed, they go home. Deku hangs out with Melissa for the next week. Guys, that's where part 3 would have left off. Now, but, you know, I'm more of a caramel macchiato, and I'm gonna be kind, and I'm going to give y'all part 4 inside of this video as well. So, I'm gonna say this now as an emphasis. If you have not listened to first part or second part, go back and listen to those, please. Honestly, go check out my other videos as well, after you watch this one, of course. However, I really hope y'all are enjoying so far, and if you guys are, I would love it if you guys would like and subscribe. And if you don't like it, dislike it. You know what, that would give me tons of more of information to know that I need to do something different. However, if there is something that you especially don't like, please comment it down below so that way I know exactly what to change, rather than just changing a broad spectrum of things and hoping that is what you guys don't like. Now, with that being said, I hope you all are enjoying, and now let's get into part 4 of What If Deku Was Kurama's Son? They have camp. So after final exams, typically they have the camp in the regular story, so that's where we're going to be picking this up off. He takes Melissa to the airport for her to go back home over break because she's in the support course and she doesn't get the privilege of going to the camp. Then after taking her to the airport, he goes to school and gets on the bus. Finally, when they're about like 5 miles away, like you guys know that cliff, how they were like 5 miles away, everybody gets off, and Deku senses the emotions from the teachers, and he's like, I don't want to do this. He sighs, and he looks, and he like sits back to the cliff, and he's like, "Yo, Mr. Aizawa, we have to get to that home over there, right?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And Deku's like, "Got you." Well, and he salutes, and he like falls backwards, and he like body flickers to the ground, and he starts jumping from tree to tree. And then everybody's like shocked, and they're like, "Wait, what?" And they all look back at the teachers, and Aizawa was like, "That brat ruined the surprise. Ugh, that just makes this worse." And he's like, "All right, guys, make your way to that house over there. Make like him." And then the cliff falls, and then we have the whole scene in canon. And Deku makes it there around after like 10 minutes, beating the bus there actually, which he sees Koda like sitting on the stairs, and he sits next to him and talks to him after he fails to punch him in the balls. Sensing his negative emotions towards like him and like how like all of the people coming to his house like to train and become better, Deku then actually learns about what happens to his parents way sooner, and Koda gets that reassurance. Deku pats him on the head and is like, "It's okay. Like, not all heroes die. That's why we have heroes that are number 1. That's why we have heroes that are number 2, 3, and that's why we have a top 50 hero system. Like, not all heroes were made to die, but all heroes are willing to lay their lives for you, because all heroes love you. All heroes love the people of their city." And Koda getting that reassurance way earlier on, and way like more of like a like clear know how, like, what heroes really are. 5 minutes later, like, after the talk, the bus actually shows up. Aizawa tries telling Deku off, but Deku's like, look, the point of the exercise was to get us all warmed up and learn what this camp is really for. That it's not going to be easy. That it's not going to be an easy-go-lucky time, am I right? Aizawa's like, look, you're right, but dude, like, this is also, like, to build rapport with your classmates, and he's like, I'm already the strongest in the class. If I just stayed with them, they would just hold me back. And Aizawa was like, ugh, I'm going to sleep. Then he lies down and taking a nap. Then 4 hours later, Aizawa wakes up and the rest of the class shows up, completely dirty, beaten, bruised, and they all see Deku just chill on his phone. Aizawa gives a speech to the rest of the class that he was going to give to Deku. Then later that night, everyone asks Deku how he knew what the test was, and he's like, oh, I can sense emotions. Using those emotions, you watch the body language and you can typically tell what people are thinking. He then shrugs as if it's a simple thing. Everyone is still confused except for, like, Momo, Todoroki, and Bakugo, who really didn't care, and Momo, who understood it, like, immediately. Then we have the scene of Mineta trying to climb up the walls. Deku does he's just like, Earth release, double suicide decapitation. He does that technique on him and it stops him. He pulls him into the ground and kind of just, stops him. So that way Koda never even falls. The next day, training rolls around. Deku kind of just walks to the middle of the woods, like, tells Aizawa, yo, I'll just be back at, like, this time, okay? And Aizawa's just like, okay. And he finds a waterfall and he makes 5 separate clones that all meditate with him. While they do that, Deku actually begins working on his control of his tailed state. Then, for dinner, Koda actually sits with Deku instead of being by the rock foundation. That's how the next few days go. Then, on the night of the incident, Izuku, not wanting to go to the haunted woods-like thing, he walks towards that rock formation, sensing a negative aura. He walks on top of the rocks, sitting on top of it, and he's like, for someone who's supposed to be hidden, you really don't know how to hide. Just then, Muscular comes out. So aren't you a smart one? Was it really that easy to tell? And he's like, yeah, it's, like, really easy. You're, like, not that, like, you did not try and hide at all. And he's like, so what are you even here for? You're clearly not a hero trying to help us. Muscular then punches the wall, trying to get Deku to fall, but once the dust clears, he sees Deku just standing there. And he's like, are you really trying to sneak me? Like, that is not a fair fade. He jumps down. Even for a villain, I thought you'd give me the honor of running the fair ones. Like, run the fade! And he cracks his neck, and Muscular pops in a different fake eye. And he's like, oh, I remember you. You were the villain who was on the news for killing those heroes. I'd take a bet that you're not alone, though. How much are you getting paid to get your ass handed to you by a kid? He then launches himself at Muscular, his eyes having dark green eyeshadow again. He presses a button, his sword extending. With one hand he signs horse, monkey, bird, wind release, dust, cloud technique. Then a cloud of dust covers the area, Muscular feeling his muscle fibers being sliced by this dust. Because it's so fine. He thrashes in the dust where he thought Deku was, feeling as if he made contact, but then poof. It was a clone. Then he feels himself becoming completely immobilized in an earth coffin with only a small pocket of air. Snake, ram, monkey, tiger. He just hears you guys know the sound effect for the hand signs, and all he hears is fire released, mist, blaze, dance technique. The air inside of the coffin gets replaced with an explosive gas. Without knowing it, Muscular tries to hit himself out. However, it made a spark, exploding it on contact. Deku then drops the barrier of earth. When the smoke clears, he sees a knocked out Muscular man with torn muscles and burnt skin. Deku ties him up, takes him to Aizawa, and tells him to handle him while he goes helps his class. Deku feels the emotions of all his classmates, focusing on one, and it's anger. He immediately starts rushing towards it as fast as he can, and he sees Tokiyami rampaging and Moonfish on the floor, his teeth completely knocked out. He creates a small fireball to calm Tokiyami down. Then he walks with him and Shoji back to Aizawa, Deku not feeling any emotion of doubt or struggle. He thinks that his classmates might be able to handle themselves for at least a few minutes. Tokiyami and Shoji safely return back to Aizawa. Deku jumps from branch to branch, feeling a strange emotion of happiness. He sees Sue and Uraraka fighting Toga. Deku jumps down, slamming Toga to the floor with a kick, knocking her out instantly. You two return to Aizawa and bring her. I gotta find Bakugo. He then jumps from tree to tree. Stay here. And he runs to Bakugo and he finds him and he's like, yo, Bakugo, stay here or go back. He body flickers him back to Aizawa and he's like, yo, Bakugo, stay here. They're actually here to capture you. They're also here to capture Tokiyami, but like, they ain't successful. Don't worry. I'ma capture them instead. Deku, just before he runs off, sees Sue and Uraraka dragging Toga up the hill towards Aizawa. He jumps off into the trees and sees a group of villains where the Wild Pussycats were actually fighting. He comes in, body flickering them out and trapping all the villains in that huge dome. If y'all remember the Sasuke recovery arc, you guys know that one like huge dome that the people recovering Sasuke were in. That's what I'm talking about. He body flickers to the heroes to the camp where he then falls to the floor, lying there just from using so much chakra. But then he drops sage mode and he begins to meditate. Finally, after a few minutes, the police and some other pros show up. Deku tells them about the dome and how they're more than likely gone. Then they all pack up. They get the rest of the students on either ambulance or on the UA bus. In this timeline, the heroes captured are 4 major villains: Muscular, Twice, Toga, and Moonfish. Deku then goes to the hospital after finding out. They find out that he was unconscious and had little food or water because he had spent the entire day training from breakfast to dinner without eating or drinking anything. So he was not like running well. Inko and Kurama sit at his bedside practically the whole night, only getting out for like food, drinks, water, you know. The next day, Melissa actually comes back into the room, practically leaping onto Deku. He catches her and hugging her. He tells her that she didn't need to come back early for him, and he just merely passed out. And she says that even if it was just a scrape, she'd always come back, having this sweet moment. Then the police dog walks in, and he says, "Izuku Midori, may I speak to you in private?" And he nods, and the family walks out, and Deku sits up weakly. "What's up, Doc?" And he says, "As you know, the villains that had attacked your campsite were after your 2 classmates, as well had a direct kill order on you." Deku nods and is like, "Yeah, I kind of know. I beat up that muscular dude, and I kind of just saw the order in his pocket." And the cop then asks, "We need to know, do you have any former relationships or had made any grudges with the League of Villains?" And he says, and Deku says, "No former relations, and the only grudges that they might have is that I took down the Nomu of the USJ, and took out the hero killer Stan and Hosu." Deku replies, "Wait, both of those were you? You know you can't..." And Deku cuts him off and says, "Don't worry about giving me the whole speech about how I can't use my quirk in public, blah, blah, blah. It's not a quirk, technically. It's natural power, energy. However, in this world, you can consider it a quirk, I guess, but..." The cop looks confused, and Deku then goes on to explain chakra and how he's one of the few people who can access it in this world, unless he has kids, of course. The cop asks him a few more questions for clues on the whereabouts of the base, then he gets dispatched that a student has placed a tracker on one of the villains, and he leaves. And Inko, Kurama, and Melissa all walk back in. And then there's actually a scene of Bakugo walking in, and he's like, "Yo, you were kind of weak. Why'd you pass out?" And Deku's like, "Dude, I literally saved you from getting captured by the League of Villains. Push off." And they both like laugh a little bit, and they dap each other up, and Bakugo walks out. Then, since none of the students were captured, they would go on to be no bar scene as well. Since All Might was healed by Deku, the fight would actually end extremely fast if they even found where All For One was. Wait, no, they did, because they had that tracker on him. Anyways, Shigaraki still ends up getting away because of the fact there was no bar scene. So you still have Shigaraki, Compress, that's really it. That's really all you have. Oh, Kurogiri as well. But All For One and the Doctor get taken out. And the Doctor reveals all For One's crimes and blah. So All For One gets put in a maximum security prison again. This time with the Doctor getting caught as well. So there's no one to start the singularity process for Shigaraki. Then they find out they'll actually be moving into dorms. Deku and Melissa are sad that they won't be living together anymore, but Deku just looked through his dad's closet like while looking for one of his old shirts because he had torn one of his like nice ones and he needed one for a press conference or something. He stumbles across a scroll then, but it's for the Flying Raijin, the Rasengan, and how to mix chakra natures. The episode ends with Deku walking back to his dorm, staring at his phone. Thank you all so much for watching What If Deku Was Kurama's Son, Part 3 and Part 4. Part 5 should be dropping soon, but this is just my time to say thank you guys for all of the support you've given me. Genuinely, it means a lot. I know that I'm not the most consistent ever. We don't need to look at my analytics. However, thank you all for coming back and watching my videos. So it really means a lot if you watched this far into the video to leave a like, subscribe, turn on that post notification so you know when I post again, even if it's inconsistent. But you'll at least see that I posted. As well, please leave a comment down below what you liked, what you disliked. So that being said, if you like it, you like it. If you dislike it, then dislike it. Either way, you can always unsubscribe later. Thank you all so much. Have a blessed day. And remember, you are loved. And now be safe.